these are works that are similar to the works that were in the show last year that I had here, but quite differently from those works because I had completed a series of works. I had started a series of works, and I completed some for the show from last year, but I made about almost 30 works. I just started on and was almost finished, but I just put those aside and went to working on something else because I wanted I wanted works from that series to be a little different. And I was not planning to show this year. I was planning to just take my time and complete those works. And when Jason asked me to take someone else's plays and show it, someone decided to not show. So I told him yes, because I had already started these works, and I said that'd give me an opportunity to. I didn't know when I would go back to those works. So I said that would give me an opportunity to go ahead and finish enough works for a show. I always believe that an artist should be ready to either do works, complete works for a show. That's the type of person I am. I always have something going, or works that I know I could complete for a show. So I wanted the works to change. I wanted these to be a little different. So in these works, it worked out. I was able to work on these and use different types of pattern, different color combinations, and I knew I wanted to make the works more abstract because are different from the work from last year. So it worked out, and I was able to look into these works and come up with good titles that I wanted to. But as an artist, I've been looking at some of my work from the 1980s, 1980, 1981, 1982. Those works I did back then, but over the past 2 years, those works I've been going to auction houses in New Orleans, and they just sold 2 works a few weeks ago from 1982, I think, those were from. And I'm always looking at those works and thinking that I don't want to go back to that way of working, but I want to do works that will be from that influence mixed with these. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm trying to move back into a more figurative form in my works. I'm always looking at themes that artists did over the years. I want to do more works like 3 musicians, themes that artists work with, Susanna and the Elders. I'm looking at works that master artists did, so I want to bring some of that to collage. So I think in the future I'm going to work with themes like some of the artists over the years have worked with. Just be versatile and to do something different. I like having different things going on in the studio too. This and then more abstract works and then maybe something that I don't want to show yet to see how it would work out. So, but I'm satisfied with the way these work out because I think I want my works to be more like, I want to do some figures in the landscapes again. That'll be different from my 1980s collages with the figures in the landscape. So it's, and as an artist, I want to continue to develop and be expressive and also creative too. So, and I always like feeling good about what I'm doing, feeling I'm not staying in one place. But with these works, I thought I'd be completely out of these small works by now. But each time I finish a small work, I start another one, and I say, if it's challenging and being inventive, I would start another work and then just find myself doing a whole series of works like this. So I can't just stop unless I just don't work on a small piece of paper, just do larger work. But I think I get a lot going in these small works. And I don't think I'm going to stop here because I have about more works from this series that are incomplete that I can still work on. So as long as working on this level, in this science is challenging, I want to continue working like this. But I know I want to eventually make some larger work and then more larger work too. Sometimes I go to places like I may be in a fabric shop, looking at some really interesting patterns in fabric, and say, well, I don't want to just bang all that fabric. I get people to give scrap fabric to me. So lately I've been saying to myself that instead of buying fabric, they have fabric in the studio, canvas, and I may start painting designs on a piece of white canvas, or even adding 2 designs on a cloth that I already have. And that would help to make my works more more in the direction I think I want to go in making collages.
Randell, I have more of a big picture question for you. You've been an artist member here for 30 years, and I wonder in that time how you feel about how your work has changed and maybe about how art in Baton Rouge, as a more general statement, has changed.
Okay, that's a good question. 30 years now of that. I got out of Southern University in 1979. I made some prints, some linoleum prints back then. I think I first started showing my works back the old state capital had a really nice gallery to show called Broussard Gallery, and I think that's when I first started. I started showing my works there, and I showed at Gillis Gallery, and also in the early '80s, I think it was '82, and then with the Gill Gallery, I showed my works. But artists were always working here. I showed my works at the old state capitol along with Robert Lawrence and some of the LSU faculty members. So I was happy to be able to participate in that particular show. But artists have always been on the move here. Well, Baton Rouge is like, totally different from it is now, just like New Orleans, where you see the Contemporary Art Center in New Orleans. In the mid-'80s, we were showing that. Baton Rouge artists were showing in the Contemporary Art Center, but it was a kind of a rundown type, warehouse type place, that whole area on Julia Street. Baton Rouge had an area like that too, where Catfish Town is now. That was a warehouse district, and some of the artists in Baton Rouge had studios there. But then that area was redeveloped, and they started pushing it. In fact, I remember when Ann Hardin and her husband were loading their works in the truck, moving out, because Catfish Town was about to open. And in New Orleans, Arthur Rancher had a gallery on Magazine Street, and then when they started building the galleries on Julia Street with, people just one by one, galleries started opening in that area. But the artists have always been making artwork, and working in the best and most creative ways that they could work in. It's just that the gallery owners caught up with them, started showing their works, and of course the rent got high, and all these other places had to move, artists had to move out. So the artists are visionaries. Like all over the United States, where you see all these areas developing and progressing, artists were there before. And collectors were going to those studios, looking at art and buying art, and then they just started building, other places, like restaurants and other type of shops. But artists always the visionaries, moving into places where they could paint, and then someone else would take over. They move to another area. I mean, that's the way it is. But the artists I've always been creating artwork since I got out of professionally, since I got out of graduate. Say undergrad school, but graduate school. And I've been watching all these other artists create too. And many of them are still working. I mean, some have dropped out, but many are still working and making art. Okay, anyone else? Questions?
I have a similar question to Jason's question.
Yeah.
Could you talk about what was in your life when you chose art? When you said, I am an artist?
When I chose to become?
Yeah.
When I decided to become
Or
an
when you
artist?
saw yourself as an artist?
Okay,
When art came and knocked on your door, whatever way you
I'm
were
happy you
framed
said
by
that. I
it.
can talk about that because when I'm talking about my career as an artist, I usually say I remember it's just like yesterday. I can remember when I decided to become an artist. I was in a 6th grade classroom, South Scholarville Elementary School across town. And in 5th grade, I was drawing. Me and a few of the fellows would stay inside for recess drawing these Draw Me characters that we saw in the magazines from art instruction school. We were challenging ourselves to draw those characters. And then I looked around, we had a fellow named Stanley Jones in the class. He was known as a person who could draw good. And I started looking at his drawing, and I started staying in the classroom with him. And I looked and said, my drawing's just as good as their drawing. So, and they were like, people knew them as the artists. So I started hanging with them and drawing, and then I decided by 6th grade, I made a decision that I want to become an artist. And I would finish my classwork, and while waiting for the other kids, students to finish their work, I would go to the campus and get the watercolor set out and paint. About half an hour or so while other kids were finishing their work. I enjoyed it so much, and I started painting. I know what too. So we got the weekly reader at school.
Yeah.
Weekly reader. And that weekly reader, every week we get a new weekly reader, and sometimes the teacher will pass out these cards with artists, works by artists. Like for last class you mentioned, Vermeer, cards with an artwork on it. And I would look at those works and look at the museum that the work was in, look at the artist's name, say they did that with paint. So paint had images, and paint has always fascinated me. And then when I saw that, I could just, Jackson Pollock you mentioned, when I saw those cats, those artists, the works that they were doing in books, not in museums, but in books, I said, you could do that with paint? I said, I want to work like these modern artists now, just explore paint and just put colors down, like Rothko and all of. I mean, I saw value in their work. Other people around me didn't. And they wonder what is that, a Jackson Pollock paint? Rothko, he just put some paint down. While they were saying that, I was saying, well, these were artists, and so must be some value in there. So by the junior high school, I knew I wanted to become more like a painter, like in that modern, I'm not going to call the name, but just like you, I'm not a Jackson. I'm not Jackson. So I want to become an artist like those artists, but work in my own style. Not copy Jackson Pollock, just like you don't want to copy Jackson Pollock. I don't want to copy Jackson Pollock or Picasso. I wanted my own style, mixed with their work too. So I was looking at these master artists as a little junior high kid. Some years ago, I went back to some of the libraries where I went to school and found my name in the back of the car where you check out books. Just about every art book had my name, so I checked it out.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, I was looking at their works in books. And had I not done that, I don't think I'd be the artist I am today. I mean, I couldn't go to the museums, so I looked at their works in books. And that really helped me a lot, tremendously. And then I had teachers in junior high school and high school, and they knew I was really seriously interested in art. They would personally help me, show me, introduce artists to me, sometimes put my works in exhibitions in the teachers' lounge at LSU, where they may have been working on a degree or something like that. So I got an early start.
Did you start out doing representational work more or abstract?
Representational. I would paint images of boats on the sea. Back then, I knew, when I was young, I knew an artist had to have a certain style. So I started doing these images of boats on the lake, sailboats on the lake. I said to myself, well, maybe I'll be known as the artist who did sailboats on the lake. That was before I got into all this abstract, before I saw all of that. I was trying to decide, well, what do I want to be known as? And then later I started doing more other kind, well, mainly representational work. But it was the modern art that really got me out there. I mean, when I saw modern art, I mean, I looked at Monet, I was looking at Monet and Monet's French Impressionist works too. But then once I saw avant-garde, like modern art, I knew that's what I wanted to work with. And I mean, in college, we did academic work like representation, still life paintings and figurative works and all of that. I mean, I've been through all of that too. But abstraction is what I really fell for. Okay, thanks very much.